We don't really feel the seasons changing on a macro level. We feel a breeze one day and comment on how much colder it feels. We don't notice the days getting shorter until we have to start using our headlights on our ways backwards and forwards to work. The weeks go by, as do the months and the years, and we don't really notice our body's aging until we notice that we elicit a groan as we get up from a bench, or it takes us slightly longer to cross the road in traffic. Time passes and those of us blessed with long life go into our dotage, and our pets are born, live and then leave us in such a cruelly short time span. A year is 365 days apart from 1 year in every 4. 365 years, it's a definite timeline. We can say a year is 365 years, and everything else in the world, its life is variable. Its life cannot be determined to the second. Only the year, those 365 days ticking by. Everything else lives and then dies. And even us, even turtles in the sea that live for hundreds of years, it's only very, very brief. And for some, it's ephemeral, like those insects, the mayflies, the insects that are born and breed, give birth and die, and that's their timeline. But even that isn't defined. Even that we can't say that is how long. We can just say that's roughly how long. Apart from the year, which is 365 days. I'm noticing the changes in the seasons already. The year comes alive in spring and then starts going into terminal decline in late summer. In spring, we turn our faces up to the sun to feel that first warmth. We notice the flowers coming through. We notice the foliage greening up, and we rejoice in it. And then the summer comes in and it's warm, the halcyon, long, hot, halcyon days of summer. But that too is transient. Summer, the seasons can be defined in weeks on a calendar, and we can have specific dates. But those dates just denote a time that's convenient to us, because spring will come and go when it feels fit. Summer will come and go, autumn and winter just the same. We can't define it, we can never define it. We think we can influence it, but we can't really. Spring comes in, new flowers, the fungi, the new foliage on the trees, but not only that, the mammals and the reptiles, the young deer, the rabbits, the birds, the frog spawn that we always used to look at when we were kids, and then watch the tadpoles coming out to swim around and eventually to turn into those little froglets that we saw, millions of them swarming across the pavements when we were kids. We notice these things without giving it much thought because it's predictable and it's familiar. It comes and it goes, but that's fine because it will come again next year. It's dependable. I've noticed something recently that I haven't given much thought to in the past. You know, we've got the dawn chorus, early spring. It starts very early. Early as the light starts to come into the sky, one bird will start singing. And that will go on for a while. And then it will be joined by another and another, as all the birds get out of bed at different times of the morning. And it goes on until it's absolutely deafening. I lived on a narrowboat, and it was pretty much in a rural area, surrounded by trees. And this woke me every morning, and I would lie with my eyes open, staring at the ceiling for a couple of hours, listening to it, because it became so familiar and so welcoming and so safe and secure. It felt like a protective layer of predictability. I knew it was going to happen. I knew the birds were going to do it. Whatever happened in my life, the life of others, what happened across the world, no matter what we do to each other, wherever there's foliage, wherever there's woodland, there will be a dawn chorus. And it came. And it was this crescendo of sound, like an orchestra. It was absolutely fabulous, and it went on and on in the year. But I never noticed it dying out early. And then suddenly, boom. And I noticed it the other day as I came out, and I stood, and it was silent. And it was 6 o'clock in the morning, when it should have been absolutely deafening. And it's still summer, and it's gone. There were a few birds here and there, the odd crow, the odd blackbird, the odd thrush. But apart from that, it was quiet. And that quiet had a kind of security about it as well. But it was also, it was bereft of the beauty of the sound of the dawn chorus. Nature has a beauty no matter what state. It was beautiful in its silence, but it was a bit unfamiliar, and it shocked me a little bit because the bird song had become so familiar and it was gone. The birds go quiet at this time of year because this is when they molt. They lose the feathers, and it's a stressful time for them, and it also makes them vulnerable. So they don't broadcast where they are, they don't use up needless energy telling everybody where they are. They quietly molt. It's the same. It happens every year. And I'd never noticed it, really. I knew it happened, but it never really crossed my radar. I heard the dawn chorus, and then I just seemed to hear it all year. And then it seemed to go, but I never noticed its passing. And then it was winter and it was quiet. But it goes gradually. And then it goes completely. Because that's when they molt. And this is the wonderful thing about nature, isn't it? You can hear everything around you. You can see everything around you. Smell everything around you. And everything is making that sound, making that smell, because it's going through a process, the process of life. And the year is a definite 365 days. And within that time, the leaves grow, the plants grow, the annuals grow, the creatures that only live for a year grow, and everything grows and dies. So when we see the leaves going brown, that's the death of an organism, that's the death of nature. But it's rejuvenated, it's like this phoenix rising from the ashes a few months later. And we walk through it and we don't really notice it. Or at least we notice it, but it is so familiar and so predictable that we don't really appreciate how fabulous it all is. And it does this without any help from us, without any interference from us. Nature just comes, it starts its year in spring, and it comes in with a rush and a flurry as all the young creatures are born, the birds are singing, the leaves are coming onto the trees, we're planting our annuals to grow in the gardens, we're planting our crops, and it's a busy, exciting, wonderful time. The summer comes in, and this is when we're sitting and waiting for everything to just live. And autumn comes in. That's when we're gathering our crops, because they've stopped growing now. They need to be plucked, they need to be picked, they need to be dug up. Otherwise they will die on the vine, in the ground. The leaves start changing. And the birds go quiet, because the birds are molting and the birds are under stress and the birds just don't feel like singing anymore. 365 days, a definite time, but that's the only thing we can be definite about, because everything else just does its own thing. Everything else is subject to outside forces. Everything that's living depends on the right amount of light, heat, moisture, and that's a variable, and that makes life in nature a variable every year. No year is the same, no sky is the same. It was blue yesterday, now it's grey. I'm looking at the low hills behind me and the mist is in the treetops on the top there. Someone has just said they've decided not to go up there today because it's wet in the treetops. And it wasn't yesterday and it won't be tomorrow. So summer is coming to an end and there's nothing we can do about it, so we have to make the most of it, because then we've got the long wait of autumn, which is a beautiful season, but it isn't spring. Autumn isn't summer. We always have to wait for the season that we love to come through. And we have to wait now. I have to wait now, winter and early spring, until I hear the dawn chorus once again. And it's going to seem like a long time because I love the dawn chorus. It just sets me up for the day. Hear it coming through the window. 5, 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. The birds, one, then another, then another, then 100, then 1,000, then a cacophony, then a beautiful symphony of birdsong, and I'm going to have to wait for it again. And then when I've waited for it, I can revel in it, but only briefly, because when it gets to summer and late summer, it will just disappear again, and there's nothing I can do about it. The only thing I could do is play recordings of it, because that is something that we as humans have absolutely no control over. We think we have control over so much, but we will never have control over nature, will we? Nature doesn't care about us. Nature would go about its business if we weren't here at all. The birds, it's like the sound of a tree falling in a wood. Would it make a sound if nobody was there? It's like the bird's song. We listen to it and we appreciate it, and we almost believe that it needs us to listen to it to exist. But it doesn't. If we weren't here, the birds would sing just as happily and as merrily as they do when we're here to listen to them. If no one was here, the insects would still come and go. The mayflies would still be born and live and die that brief life. Even if we weren't here, we have absolutely nothing to do with that. In fact, when you think about it, we can't never influence nature to the good, because us being here changes nature to suit us. It never leaves nature to do its own thing, or not in areas that we are changing. So it will always just do its own thing. It will do its own thing. It doesn't matter if we're here. These leaves here on this tree will grow. The blackberries that I've been picking and eating this morning will grow. The squirrels will run about. The foxes will run about. The deer will run about. Everything will run about, whether we're here or not. They won't disappear just because we're not here to appreciate them. They won't disappear just because we're not here to listen to them and smile and record them and share them over our new technology with people all over the world. They still do it. And they wouldn't miss us. They wouldn't miss us. Nature wouldn't miss us, would it? That's why we should just accept our place in nature, shouldn't we? we should just accept that we are just the audience. We are in an amphitheatre. Ladies and gentlemen, millions, billions of us sitting in a huge amphitheatre, looking at a stage and appreciating the orchestra and the musicians individually, the skill, something that we could never aspire to. And that's what we are. We're just an audience. And as an audience, we should respect that, applaud, pay homage, pay financially, look after the place. Or at least if we're not looking after the place, make sure our footprint is negligible. We owe it to nature. We come when we are born and take our place in that amphitheatre. And we sit all our lives and watch that orchestra playing its symphony. Some of us will look the other way and ignore it. And that's fine. Some of us will sit rapt, enthralled, and that's fine too. And then at the end of our lives, we get up and we leave the amphitheatre. We leave an empty space that is immediately taken by someone else beginning their journey. And they sit down and they look round. They appreciate nature. They appreciate the orchestra. So that's it. Pretty soon it'll start to go. Nature will start getting ready for bed. It will be cleaning its teeth and putting on its jimmies, having its last drink of cocoa. And there's nothing we can do about it. The ephemeral insects will go. The animals that live but a year will go. Many will go to sleep for the winter months. And it goes in the cycle of 365 days. But in a kind of organised chaos that nothing is predictable. Everything in nature is unpredictable, but it follows that 365-day cycle. Everyone in the world has a birthday. Every single person in the world will have had a birthday. At one birthday within that 365 days. It may have been in spring, summer, autumn and winter. But every single person that's born, is going to be born or ever was born, will have had one birthday every year, every 365 days. So it's quite melancholy, it's quite a sad little feeling that I can feel the end coming somewhere over the horizon, somewhere in the distance. I can feel the end of the year beginning to prepare. So the end of the year is coming, even though it's still summer. Things are changing, things are preparing. There seems to be a slight limpness in the leaves. Some are changing colour, and this is all dependent on the difference in the seasons every year. But it's happening and it's coming, and we're going to make the most of it. Because just like the seasons, just like the animals, just like the leaves on the trees, we know that we're going to be here, but we don't know for how long. We don't know how long we've got, and so we've got to appreciate it while we can. We are going to appreciate it, we're going to appreciate it as much as we can, because it's unpredictable, because I don't know when it's going to go, and because I don't know when I'm going to go. You don't know when you're going to go. There's no point where you'll be able to sit back and think, I missed out, can I have another go at that, can I have another few years? Because the answer is always no. The length of our lives is unpredictable. We've got 4 score years if we're lucky, and many of us aren't lucky. So you don't know. You don't know, you may blink out now in a second. So make the most, make that last thing that you see something of beauty. Make sure that you're stirring, when you've got the opportunity, make sure that you're stirring into nature, stirring at something pleasant, because it might be the last thing you ever see. Make the most of it, and we shall make the most of it. And on that note, we shall see you on the flip. Peace and love.